I say, oh, I said the idea. I was saying 2 and 1 years old. I fell it. Look at my fella. Hey, yeah, who be you? Something I can't wait.
In the chest of a woman.
So we're yet to discover what is in the chest of a woman. Again, good morning going out to you viewers. We're moving away from the sports segment and moving to Infocus right here, fused with entertainment. Now let's talk about people who have the Ghanaian movie industry at the heart. I'm talking about Ken Fiati. He's always doing and ensuring that, you know, things are going very well and very smooth. And the trailer that played gives you a fair idea of what is going to happen on the 3rd and 4th of May at the National Theatre. So right in the studios with me, I have a director, an actor, producer. You can fuse everything in there. He is with me in the studio. I'm talking about Ken Fiati. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
We're trying. Your introduction is scary.
Oh my, you do so well.
We're trying. I was just hoping you won't say, well, after saying producer, director, actor, you won't say destroyer.
Not at all, not at all. But before we move into the big conversation, talking about in the chest of a woman, I know the Actors Guild, you're doing so well trying to, you know, pull strings and ensure that actors, let me say, producers, everybody, we find ourselves in a very safe space. From your view and what you're doing, what do you think about industry now?
Well, today is better than yesterday. Obviously, yesterday was terrible. The day before yesterday was better. When I talk about this, I'm looking at the times where luminaries like Kwawansa, Kenan Pao, and co were churning out good movies after good movies. And so growing up, we thought that we're going to enter a space that is good enough for us to also ply our trade. Then we realized the nosedive. And like I said, if your hair is being shaved and you don't talk about it, you get any haircut and you don't have anyone to blame. And so we kept quiet, allowed business people to take over our industry. Business people without a love or the blood of the industry in their hearts. And so when things started taking a turn and they were not making the type of monies they were making initially, they decided to put their money somewhere else. And so the onus fell on us to, you can't leave your child to die because your child has misbehaved. The child carries your blood. And so I must say that I am privileged to live in an era where we have people who still love the arts, the creatives. And so we decided to work together. It gets a little tickling when people talk as if Ken did a lot of work as if by himself, because it's just teamwork. So people like George Bosompim, Oscar Provençal, and the like were willing to make us push to get things done. We realized the basic problem was with policy. Aside the fact that the worst enemies we have had as practitioners happen to be ourselves. And so we decided not to push as Ghana Actors Guild when we managed to get some funding somewhere. We decided to work together as a team. So we got the GAFTA, which is about the biggest umbrella body. People can argue about it, but that's what they are. They have the Producers Guild of Ghana, Directors Guild of Ghana, Fixers and all that, being part of them. So we spoke to FICAG, we spoke to FIPAG, we spoke to all those who said they were umbrella bodies for the subunits or the domains that we have in film to push. So basically, we had to pick it. Government understands some of our languages, but I think the hardest they don't want is when you have to pick it or demonstrate. So we did picketing, and it yielded the National Film Authority. Of course, there was the law, which we called for the full operationalization of. Act 935 is still there. A lot of filmmakers don't even know yet. They call themselves filmmakers. So that's what we picketed on and got the National Film Authority set in place, and Yas Antua became the Executive Secretary. We believe that they've gotten somewhere, but there's still a lot to do. So we still are appealing to government to ensure that the draft LI, which has been in place for a while now, it's been in place for over 2-3 years. So we're just appealing that it would be pushed through Parliament. I happen to be on the Ghana Culture Forum as well, so we had an engagement with the President's representative at the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Ijapab Mesa, and he says that those those policies, the Creative Arts legislative instrument together with the film legislative instrument happen to be prime on their table. So we're hoping that will be done, and then we can take it from there.
Great. And I'm very particular about storylines that are being told right here in Ghana. We are saying we want to embrace our rich culture and explore it to people out there. Do you think we're telling the stories right?
For a while we were, and we stopped. And we started doing what we wanted to do. And of course, one of the problems happens to be ourselves. I was fought when I said that there were certain productions I won't take part in. If you pick a production from the West and you microwave it, or you pick it from Europe and microwave it and want to produce it in Ghana, I don't see why I should be a part of it. Because we have our style of telling stories. Exactly. I think the things that I remember the most are things or virtues that my parents imbibed in me when I was a young person, and they took their time to tell it to you in a story form, and it stays with you for a longer time. So I think at a point in time I was on air in Kumasi, and I made a statement that Ghana film will take a nosedive, but the only place that can keep it alive is what we were calling Kumawood, because they were telling our stories. Albeit they may not have been adhering to the best of standards, but they were telling our stories that we can relate to. America wanted to be a superpower, and they thought that film was the best way to do it. I don't know which wars they have won, though, but in film, they are a superpower. So for us as Ghanaians, I think that the Nancy Gross system should have been what we should have gone for, the pure storytelling style of things, which Kumasi people were doing. And that's why they are still churning out stuff. So storyline became a problem. It became the bane of the industry. But I think that we can have a turnaround. And that's why some of us still keep going back to policy. Because if the nation has a film fund and you have to apply into the film fund, then you know that you don't have to go grappling for money. Exactly. And if there are standards that are set, that your story should meet a certain criteria so that you can be able to get funding from the film fund, you would adhere to it. Exactly. And then best practice can be put in place. And so, yeah, we're hoping that our storylines will improve when we also put in place the policies that need to be
necessary. So, you know what, each and every time we have creatives coming in here, we have conversations with them, and we talk about marketing of productions, or let me say a product out to people there. Let's talk about marketing right here, selling our stories out. It looks like the channel isn't too clear. People are still struggling to put their product out there.
You know, there's a marketer's domain in Ghana. You ask yourself which people were handling such places. We can buy and sell, but it may not make us marketers.
We can buy and sell.
We can buy and sell. The fact that I can buy your nice clothing and sell it doesn't make me a marketer. A marketer has a strategy in place to ensure that there's optimum benefit from what they are selling. And that's what the problem was. So people with money who could register as distributors and marketers of film in this nation were the ones that were running what we had. And so when the times were changing, because a smart marketer would always want to think about tomorrow and try to know what trends are becoming what should be in vogue in order for us to move. So you realize that growing up, we were having that, we called it pure Moncore, that cassette CD thing that you push in, and very interesting. And then it evolved to the CD system. Then we went to sleep. We should have thought of what next. Of course, what next could also still have been the cinema system that we had, where growing up there was the 12, we used to call it 12, that's 12:30, there was the 3:30, there was the 6:30, 8:30 showing of movies in the cinemas. Now, if you have a movie and you want to show, you have to go and find a way of lobbying people who have the space in order to show it. So we have the Snap Cinema, but is it a cinema? You know, we call it a cinema, but even the setup, how you enter the place is even a problem. But that's what we have, and so that's what we will use. But the silver beds, you have to go to a private entity to convince them to be able to showcase your stuff. I'm saying that the cinemas are prime because no matter how well you can sell your stuff on the streets, the cinemas determine it. Because when they go there, watch it, they would want to watch it in a mode that they can be relaxed to watch. I struggle to go to the cinemas because sometimes it's just and it's done, and you may have to pay again and go. And so when it was working with the 12:30, the 3:30 system, people were able to go either to go and rent the movies to watch or to buy them and own them and watch them in the comfort of their homes when they were free to. Aside that, there was discussion about the pen drive and all that, but the cost.
The cost of it, too.
So we are left with either going back and making the traditional system work, or now we go on the internet
To watch it.
How many of such portals do we have in the country? So marketing and distribution is one of our banes, but I'm not an authority. I can only speak to what I know. But I think that it's one facet of our sector that we need to fix. Somebody like Kofi Adinkra, who works as a business development officer at the National Film Authority, has proven that he has knowledge about some of these trends. I know Juliet has a passion. I'm talking about the executive secretary, has passion for this. But there are people who may not directly be film practitioners, but also have knowledge. It's just a matter of coming together and thinking of the best way to push our things. They're talking about building creative arts centers, building cinemas across Ghana. We're praying.
We're praying. Yeah, so I think it breaks down to the whole conversation we're going to have here today, talking about the stage play. And I'm very particular about maintenance culture. We move into our theaters, cinemas, and they are in very bad shape and in bad states. But these are places we need to tell stories. And I know sometime last month we have workers from the National Theatre complaining bitterly about the state of the place. I want to know your take on, maintenance culture right in Ghana with our properties.
I think what is happening at the National Theatre is a clear depiction of how parents refuse to take care of their kids and expect them to grow and become useful. So we had the Chinese build that. There were terms and conditions attached to that facility, and I don't know whether management went to sleep, or Ghanaians went to sleep, or duty bearers went to sleep. Because I'm sure where you work, you have people that you report to. And so they tend to be like your supervisors, like your line supervisors. They also have their supervisors, and it goes all the way to the board, and it goes to the ministry. So with the National Theatre, what happened? And I pause because I want you to also try and see what happened. That is actually the only theater we have in the country. And so the only that we have, we could not take care of it, then it's a problem. Recently, I saw videos circulated by George Quay, I respect him so much, of carpeting and all that. I entered the facility and I was asking myself, oh, so this is what was put out there. It is better than what used to be there, but is that all we could do? So in a discussion with, we paid a courtesy call or a welcome call on our I'm told he's not the minister. I'm told he's the president's representative at the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. And he did indicate that the National Theatre features amongst the things they want to look at. They want to go back, look at the contracts that were, and see what can be done to salvage what we have now as a theatre, and also to see what else they can do to make the place better. But what we have there is a shell. Because if you want to run a show there, like in the Chest of a Woman, we have to even rent more air conditions for the show. We have to get our own sound, get our own light. There's not even a standby plant. So if a show is going on and you haven't made provision for a standby plant, it means that your show will end. Imagine us being live currently and light goes off. And there's no plant to ensure that the transmission goes on. Meanwhile, we are paying for the space. So it's a shell that cannot even be likened to a grave. Yeah, because the grave at least can contain the body, contain the casket or the coffin. But what we have there at the National Theatre is a make do, because we don't have an alternative. So we need to look at that facility. And one of the things that I think and pray that will be done is that all the regional centers, the Center for National Cultures, they have facilities that were being built. Recently, I was in Ho to do a show. I entered the facility and it still looks like, 10 years ago. So if we can get these things done, then we can revive the creative industry before we start talking English. Because if I finish within the Chest of a Woman here, there's already a crying Sunyani for it, there's a crying Ho for it. But where are you going to show it? So we need to fix our facilities, and of course, starting with the National Theatre. And then if we cannot build others, let's at least ensure that the regional centers have places that people can go and have such stuff done.
Great contribution in there. Now let's move into the big topic, in the chest of a woman.
Yeah.
I know we have a lot of stories that could be told.
Yeah.
But why that select?
Because I think I am on a search to find out what exactly is in the chest of a woman.
That's very mysterious.
Yeah, I think it tickles you as well. Do you know what is in the chest of a woman?
You tell me.
Have you asked a woman what is in her chest? Some of them do not even know. We have talked about women empowerment. We've talked about celebrating motherhood, celebrating the woman, the girl child, and all that. But the question is, what have we been able to achieve in that direction? Apart from making women say that they can't be what men are, we have not really brought out the best in them. And so at Africa Arts Network, we decided to add to the probe. And the probe is also to yield results for the woman to know her place in creation and in society. That's why we chose Efo Kojo-Maogbe's play. I don't say the late because I believe he's still alive. He has writings that have been, in the next 2 months, there will be 3 of his plays that will be published. And he has at least about 27 of them that were not published before he died. And his plays are like prophecies because he writes about things that we walk into. So In the Chest of a Woman is one of such stories. And so it's not just a pre-Mother's Day celebration thing, but because of the thematic treatments of subjects in the play, we decided to probe what exactly is in the chest of a woman, to empower the woman, to reveal the woman to the woman, and to let the man know the value of the woman and help us to know how to deal with them.
Interesting. And you know, to bring out a great storyline or to interpret it for people, casting plays a very big role.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the casting in there. How were these people selected? What went into the whole process?
I think it was pretty straightforward for me because I'm working with a team that is solid. I work with Atugate. I don't call him my assistant director. I call him my co-director because he has experience and he is prolific at what he does. So we decided to just look at the play as it is and not to reinvent the wheel. So I'm not going to take a 10-year-old and make the 10-year-old play a 40-year-old role. So when we did our analysis of the play, we realized that we just needed this era. You call them the Gen Zs. Are you one of them? Okay. So we have the Gen Zs, we have the bridge, and we have the old school. And so we just looked at it that way. The only hassle we had was that Ghana has a plethora of very good actors. And it's just that we don't get what we need to get. And one of them is we don't get directors that force us to bring out the best in us. So we looked at the Akofa Ejani class. So we have Akofa Ejani, we have Edina Matachi, we have Agnes Pamfred, we have Henry Agba. You may ask who he is, but he's an old legend. When I went to School of Performing Arts, he was almost completing. And so we had that class. And what we did was to have discussions with the likes of Fred Amuji because he understands theater. A casting process is not just about talking to the people that you want to work with, but talking to people who are adept to also help you to be able to cast correctly. And so we took the middle class, which has, of course, now Ato, who is a co-director, falls within both brackets because he's worked with them. So we have the Gloria, we call him Mafia Bentum. We have... So basically that's what we did. We built the old block, the Gen Zs, and built the bridge so that we can tell the story well. So we have the Ama Krampers, we have the Gadede Segbe Fies and all that. And so that's what we looked at. Aside that, because we realized that Efo's plays are usually not just drama. They are drama dance, and music. So we now had to look at the skill set of these actors to be able to pull the best out of them. So we went for the son of a legend who is also a legend, Nitete Yate, who is a prolific actor. He's a total theater person, but we know him strongly for the dance aspect of it. So he is taking care of the choreography and all that. People don't even know that the fights in movies and plays are supposed to be choreographed. So we have him do that so nicely for us. And we have one of the lecturers at Legon, Jojo, we call him Junior, taking care of the music aspect, the sound aspect of it. So basically that's how we cast. We did the casting of not just the actors, but also of the crew.
That's very solid. Listening to the preparation that moves into this whole thing. People just move into the theaters and think, oh, it was just a one-day thing, but it takes a whole nation to build.
You see, so that is one thing. I paused because I'm checking whether I would be in trouble. But that's one thing Kwame Nkrumah did so well. He knew the value of the creatives. No wonder he was able to travel with creative minds when he has to go outside this country. These are people we cannot take for granted. No matter what area of arts or science you find yourself, creativity is necessary. Imagine that the creative person did not have to put this place in shape. Imagine that the person who manufactured the camera did not consider creative thinking, did not think of art to put it together. Would we have what we have? That aside, for this production we're putting together, we're working with about 147 people, cast and crew, 147. So if we're thinking of ways to fight crime, to answer the problem or canker of unemployment, one of the easiest things we have to go for is the creative, or even filmmaking or stage productions. We take a lot of people, so we've been working on this for seven weeks. We're in our 8th week actually, and so for that period, just imagine that if I want to do something dusted, I know that I have to go for rehearsal, I have work that I'll be paid, and so I will not think about things that would set me on a negative trail. So we need to take our sector seriously. But having said that, I always say this, and sometimes I have problems with my peers. The value you place on yourself will determine how people will look at you and treat you.
Exactly.
So we need to add value to ourselves as actors, as directors, as producers. We need to add value to ourselves, and people will take us seriously.
That's great. Now let's talk about the 3rd and 4th of May.
Yes, I can't wait. I wish it were tomorrow.
but you know, sitting back, looking at rehearsal, the response from cast and the production, would you say we are ready? Would you say the team is ready?
We have been ready for over 2 weeks.
Over 2 weeks now.
Because we did not want to serve a meal that was still on fire to the audience. And so we started the process for this production early. And so we did not have to hustle on the number of days to rehearse. So we are even in a period where we are just doing run-throughs and putting our technical stuff together to ensure that on the day it will be flawless.
Very solid.
Yes, so we have been ready like 2 weeks ago. And the interesting side is that for us on this production, we always treat our 100 today as our 0 tomorrow. So we're just tightening loose ends and exploring new ways of doing things. But we are ready, for the 3rd and the 4th.
All right, so viewers, we're having a conversation with Ken Fiati. He happens to be the director for a play that's going to happen on the 3rd and 4th of May in the Chest of a Woman at the National Theatre. But before we continue with the conversation, quickly, let's have a look at this video. When we come back, we'll continue.
In the chest of a woman.
Yes. On the ni huni ho tina ne bai sana dan fu tawo ina me susu ma ti se oba hima oni obra fo ba ko sise na nan so kra de yes di kra ne say kiti it is an adwin o mai wunti mi mu James was me ni nothing na him fe no na what it is say o mai no say ye ti pesa me tata ye ti ekwa mo nye asem se bi asem bi me mi asem no se si me tu wo tutu de wo chi henye nana o be jira ha chi oh ya say o di say ya ye di e o say tu e ho ade so I fell it.
Look at my face. Hey, yeah, who be you?
Something I cowboy.
In the chest of a woman.
So are you going to look at this and tell me you're going to miss out on the third and fourth? No, we're still telling great stories right here in Ghana. In the chest of a woman, happening on the 3rd and 4th of May 2024 at the National Theatre. And right here in the studios with me, I have Ken Fiati, who happens to be the director of this interesting masterpiece that's going to happen. Now, let's talk about the date, time, how do we get our tickets and all that.
Okay, so the dates are the 3rd and 4th of May. We have 2 shows, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Of course, at the National Theatre. We started rolling out ticket sales, about 2 months ago. We wanted to do, and we did. Some actually bought what we call the early bird tickets, so that you could have gotten your ticket for either 100 or 120 CDs if you did the early bird thing. We also have a code, star 713 star 2 star 33 star 21 hash. Let me please say it again. Star 713 star 33 star 21 hash, where you can get your ticket even before you get to the gates. We've had a lot of people talk to us, and so we don't want people to get there and now have to queue up for tickets. Aside getting it, let me say virtually, you can also get your tickets from the Bachona Total, from the airport shell. When you go to the Silverbird Cinema, you can also get it there. And of course, those who may travel into town that very day can still get it at the gate. You can also get it at Reggie Roxon's place at Attic. So basically, this is the schedule. 3rd and 4th, 4 and 8 p.m. each day, and then you can get it from the ticketing points that we have talked about. But I need to say that it's going to be a total theatrical experience where you are entering the foyer. We are not saying it's a red carpet, but it's a creative carpet for you to walk into the show. We're bringing Bisabrawa Museum, legendary Kwawansans Museum. We're bringing a piece of the museum to the National Theatre, and we're setting up other points, other business points. Have you considered insurance when it comes to the things you do? We are bringing insurance people there to have engagements with the creative minds to also see the role of insurance in what we do. So it's a total, it's like a business creative event that you need to walk into on the day and see people like Clemento Suarez at their very best. General Ntetia, arguably one of the best stage actors I have seen in our times, arguably General Ntetia, and amongst the others that are on stage on today.
Great. We're really humbled having you on the show today, and keep doing what you're doing, keep telling the stories, and we're all coming in there to support you.
Thank you very
so
much
again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so viewers, this is where we wrap up the conversation with Ken Fiati. He stated it all. The 3rd and 4th of May at the National Theatre is happening right there, as in the chest of a woman. Let's move in there. Let's get to discover what is really in the chest of a woman. Now, before we wrap up the segment, a happy birthday going out to Benedict Kwame Boache. Today's your birthday. From your friends, families, and loved ones, we're all wishing you, Benedict Kwame Boache, a happy birthday. God bless you. Stay safe wherever you are. Again, we have Benedict on our screens. Again, I'm going to say happy birthday to Benedict Kwame Boache. From your friends, family, and loved ones, we're all wishing you a happy birthday. So the show hasn't ended yet. We have Parrot Mouth also coming in, moving into the comedy world. Things are happening in there. So after the break, let's have a conversation with him.
In the chest of a woman.
Yes. On the idea where they soon. Yes, I'm there. On the on the same line. No.
Hey, Tina the base and a damn free. And I mean so. My sister, buy him on your black mobile cushion.
Hey, Nana so glad yes, see you can't say
it is an adrian. Oh, my wouldn't mean Jem was meaning nothing.
And I am feeling like
and I want to change that. Oh, my own, I send me some what they are sending me as someone says, see me too. What to do there, what you
Nana, over the oh, that's fair. Oh, I said the idea. I was saying 2 and 1 years old.
I fell it.
Look at my face. Hey, yeah, who be you?
Something I cowboy.
In the